I'm Ralph Cerullo with Sales Debut, and today we're going to be talking about our 10 essential sales principles. Why are these 10 essential sales principles so important to us here at Sales Debut? Well, these are the roadmap to you becoming a career salesperson or a successful salesperson, but they also act as a filtration system for us to understand the health of individual deals. And we'll talk more about that once we review what the 10 principles are. Number one, value is measurable. If you cannot quantify it, then it doesn't exist. Let's make this simple. X equals Y. What do I mean? X is our product or service, and Y is the value or gain for the prospect or potential customer. We always want to be able to display that in the simplest format possible. Number two, time is our most valuable resource. Use it wisely. Time is finite. We can't earn, make, or buy more of it, so we need to utilize it as perfectly as we can to maximize the ROI. Number three, desperate people do desperate things. Self-control is a skill, not an emotion. Okay, so you're in an environment or with individuals that are eliciting a response from you, okay, that is emotional. Fear, sadness, anger, happiness, all of these are emotions. Okay, we need to practice self-control so we can remain calm and progress the sale forward. Number four, process drives the sale. Make sure the process is yours. If you are not aware of what the process is and where you are at in the process, then most likely you are adhering to the other person's process. Just think about your sales cycle, okay? And oftentimes salespeople will confuse their cycle with the sales process. They're not the same. The cycle is the amount of time or the average amount of time it takes to take somebody from prospect to buying decision. Along the way in that cycle is the sales process, and those are the actionable steps that you are taking to progress the sale along within that sales cycle. Number five, never comply when you should politely deny. There are times to say no to a prospect. I know it's against our nature as salespeople. We want to be ultra accommodating, but there are times where we have to politely deny to do something, and it is for the betterment of the sale or the sales process, and it's usually to our advantage, okay, to make that denial at that point in time. We're not going to say the word no. We're going to say things like, yes, I would be happy to, but. And that but is going to allow us to gain some engagement back from the prospect in way of some commitment so that we can progress that sale forward. Number six, price is relevant to cost, but the investment is tied to gain. So we're back here at that gain value proposition here, okay? When we talk about price and cost, it provokes a negative response from our prospect or potential customer. Okay, it elicits a negative feeling. This is going to cost me. Okay, the price I paid for this was X. What we want to talk about is investment. Because investment, when we make an investment, okay, we expect a return. And that's that value, that's that gain. Reframe how you talk about price and speak about it in terms of the investment. Number seven, give the State of the Union only after you're elected. Okay, if you're not sure that the buyer has perceived you as the preferred provider of your service or product, then do not go and give an elaborate presentation and over-educate them. When you do this too early in the sale, it actually works against you. It has the adverse effect, okay, because you've given too many options without funneling that prospect down to what the core issue is so that you can develop a precise solution and only present on that. So once you know that you're getting the deal, and there are many ways for you to discover whether or not, hey, I'm going to be getting this deal at the end of my presentation, okay? Until you're sure of that, do not go in and give that elaborate presentation and over-educate your prospect. Number 8, never be a liar when dealing with a buyer. There is nothing more important than being truthful in a sale. We've all heard the expression, buyers are liars. Yes, that's true. We learn to defend against it, okay? At the beginning of the sale, we're going to put a pattern of questions together that's going to help us uncover the truth, okay? And we can defend against the fact that they may have an inclination to lie to us or not reveal the whole truth. But when we lie and that untruth is uncovered, we automatically, without question, I've never seen it work any other way, lose the deal, and it can affect future deals with other prospects down the road. Stay away from lies in the sales process. Number 9, stay healthy by eating your vegetables. Let's talk about pipeline. So if you think about it in a food pyramid, okay, we can invert that food pyramid here, and we can look at our vegetables up top in terms of prospecting opportunities, okay? Then we have our qualifying. We have our proposal stage, and we have our decision stage down here at the bottom of the funnel. But entering opportunities to the top of the funnel in way of cold calling, prospecting, networking, and asking for referrals will keep our pipeline in its totality healthy and allow us to drive sales through the funnel, okay, and gain more wins in the end. Number 10, consistency will lead to variety. Okay, so we hate the word consistency as salespeople, okay, because we relate it to monotony, right? Our days are going to be monotonous. We're going to do the same thing over and over and over again. That's not why we went into sales. We went into sales because we like variety. But the only way to get that variety in terms of deals, okay, and the opportunities and the people that we're engaging with is to consistently do the things that produce, okay, the variety, the freedom that comes with a healthy sales pipeline, healthy sales process, okay, an effective process for closing deals. So there's your 10 essential sales principles in a nutshell. Let's talk real quick about how we utilize these as a filtration device for our individual deals. Okay, so we reviewed our 10 essential sales principles and we understand the roadmap to becoming a successful salesperson. But now we want to take these essential principles and we want to turn them into a form of a question so that we can filter our individual deals, the specifics from our individual deals, through these questions to assess the health of that particular sale. Okay, so let's just take number 1. Value is measurable. If you cannot quantify it, then it doesn't exist. Well, before we looked at that equation of X equals Y, okay, so we had X equals Y, and that was our product or service versus the gain for our customer. If you cannot clearly, in a way that everybody can understand, demonstrate the value or the gain, okay, it might be cost savings over time, return on investment, a problem that's going to be solved. If we can't demonstrate that, then this is probably not the right deal for you. Okay, and it's best to admit that you are not a good fit, or maybe they are not a good fit for you at early on in the sale, so that everybody can stop applying time and resources and go their separate ways. They'll appreciate it and it will benefit you. Number 2, time is our most valuable resource. Use it wisely. Well, this number 1 example can tie into this number 2 example here, right? You need to ask yourself the question, is the time that I'm applying to this deal, okay, providing me a return on that investment in terms of engagement or progress of the sales process, okay? And also, is the time that I'm investing in this deal hurting the amount of time that I'm spending in other deals, and also in my ability to prospect for new deals to add to the funnel, because everything works in concert and we're not just working on this one sale. If you can't find that balance, and you'll have to evaluate this for yourself, but if you can't find that value, that balance in your time versus what you're getting out of that deal, then you need to look at this in conjunction with some of the other principles here, okay, and make the decision if this deal is worth you still investing that time and those resources in the future. Or you may have to recalibrate the deal so that you can better use your time, and that may be coming to the prospect or the potential customer and setting some boundaries and guidelines and reevaluating how the process is being handled, okay, and get buy-in from both yourself and the other party on how you guys are going to progress forward as to preserve your time, okay, with also providing them what they need as a potential customer. Number 3, desperate people do desperate things. Self-control is a skill, not an emotion. So ask yourself, am I investing, okay, a lot of my self-control equity into a deal because it continues to be contentious, or the environment and the individuals involved keep eliciting emotions, okay, that are forcing me to dig into my reserves of self-control in order to stay calm and keep this progressing in the right direction. If you're exerting a lot of energy, okay, in something that seems overtly negative, you may want to ask yourself the question, okay, is it worth me continuing, okay, to go down this path in this contentious situation, and what's the potential outcome if I do? Now, let me just preface this. Sometimes contentious sales situations, okay, result in a win-win situation in the end. Some buyers, okay, like to test the individuals they're about to enter into a business deal with, okay, to the extreme. And they'll go into a situation and make it contentious on purpose, okay, to see how you handle that and to make sure that they are doing their due diligence to make sure that you're the correct solution. You need to, it's a nuanced situation, you need to evaluate, am I dealing with a buyer who really wants to get to this end result with me and is just making it difficult so that we can make sure we cover all the bases and everybody's on the same page when we get to that decision stage? Or am I dealing with somebody who's making this difficult for me because they don't intend to buy from me, already intend to buy from a competitor, okay, or just are not interested in the process, at which point that situation lends itself to us abandoning that deal. Process drives the sale. Make sure the process is yours. Okay, so ask yourself, am I in control of the sale? Okay, do I know what the next step is going to be? Do I know when I'm meeting that prospect again? Do I know what the expectations of both parties is when we have that meeting? If you can't answer those individual questions, then you are not in control of the process. I would not suggest when you've lost control of a process that you necessarily abandon the deal on that alone. But if you can look at loss of process, maybe a contentious situation, okay, and you can't demonstrate the value, then certainly in its totality, when tied to other principles in the 10 essential sales principles list, okay, you may decide that this is not the deal for you and that you need to abandon it, all right? Or in the better situation, you need to go and recalibrate the process, reestablish control of the process with the prospect or potential customer, okay, get it back on track, put it back in the lane that you want it to be in, and drive it forward, okay? You can always recover a process situation, okay? You can always go back in and reestablish some guidelines, some ground rules, some expectations. It's never too late in the sales process to do so, okay? It may throw off the sales cycle a bit, but realigning the process puts you in a better chance to win, and that's the situation that us as salespeople want to be in. Never comply when you should politely deny. Okay, learning when to say no is so important. But if you find yourself continuously having to say no to a prospect, you may want to evaluate if you have not uncovered enough pain to be having these subsequent conversations about budget and proposals and presentations and bringing other buying decision makers into the process. Okay, so you may want to look at a situation where they keep asking for modifications to proposals or changes to the scope of work or other things that may lend themselves to you not having a fundamental understanding of what their expectations are and what they want out of this arrangement. Number 6, Price is relevant to cost, but the investment is tied to gain. Okay, if you are not demonstrating this value, it is going to be very hard for you to have that investment conversation over a price conversation. Now, as salespeople, we're going to reframe and we're going to talk about investment. All right. If you have a prospect that continuously is looking at price or discussing price or hinting towards, hey, this is going to be based on the price once you make your presentation or deliver your proposal, okay, there is usually something beneath the surface, okay, other than price that is driving them towards having that conversation consistently with you. And you want to go back and uncover that in your sales process through funneling them through a series of questions, okay, to uncover the pain, uncover what the actual issue is, okay, and design a solution that is going to fit that problem or challenge. But if they continuously talk about price and cost and you are not able to uncover that and reframe it as an investment, which is tied to a gain, the value, okay, then you are in a very weak position in that sale, and you may need to evaluate whether it makes sense for you to stay in or not. Number 7, give the State of the Union only after you're elected. This one is super important, and you have to ask yourself, have I given too much too early, and has it put me behind the 8 ball in progressing this sale forward? Because if I give you everything on day 1, what do I have to offer on day 2, day 3, day 4? And if I know a decision isn't going to likely come until day 5, day 6, day 7, or whatever the sales cycle may be, has giving this State of the Union too early, okay, put me in a position where they will never elect me because they feel, as a perception, I have nothing left to offer, or maybe I've confused the situation by too early, giving too much education, too many options, okay, too many modifications to a proposal, so on and so forth, without understanding what the actual problem that we're trying to solve is and narrowing it down so that I can provide that specific solution. So if you feel that maybe you have exhausted, okay, your presentation too early in the sale, it may mean, not that you need to abandon the sale, okay, but it may mean that you're going to have a heavier lift to get over the top of that mountain and on the other side where the decision is going to be made. And you have to go back, evaluate the deal, and make some calculated strategic decisions about how you want to progress. Never be a liar when dealing with a buyer. Okay, so the only time that you need to filter a deal through this principle is when you may feel as though you have told an untruth. Now, this may have been by accident. This may have been something where you didn't clarify correctly. Okay, and if that's the case, okay, you may want to face that up front. Okay, call it out with the prospect, get their reaction, and make a decision as to whether or not you guys can move forward in this arrangement, in this deal, and progress it through the sales process, or if this has damaged the relationship so much that they've just decided that the trust isn't there right now and they're not going to move forward with you. Okay? But if you come into a situation where that has happened, you want to deal with it at the onset. Give bad news early, okay, so that you can deal with it and hopefully move forward. Or if you can't deal with it, you don't exhaust more time going down a path that is not going to result in you being able to get a decision. Number 9, stay healthy by eating our vegetables. So if we can't commit to 60% of our time being associated with prospecting, asking for referrals, cold calling, or otherwise, in conjunction with us working on this specific deal, then we need to evaluate, and we can go back to our time as our most valuable resource example here. We need to evaluate if this deal is acting as an anchor for all our other, okay, important functions in our role as a salesperson. We have other deals going on. They require an allotment of our time. We have this specific deal that may be working as an anchor or sucking up and absorbing an amount of our time. And if we can't say that we can still 60% of the time look for new business successfully, then we need to evaluate if we, A, need to recalibrate this particular deal, go and reestablish some boundaries with the customer, okay? B, maybe pull in a strategic alliance, okay, in terms of somebody else in our organization to help us with the deal and spread out some of that time commitment. Or C, we need to make the decision, as hard as it may be, okay, to abandon this deal because we don't perceive the outcome as being a return on our investment and the loss of time we're going to get on the prospecting front to keep our pipeline healthy, okay, so that we can continuously progress and close deals through our funnel. Number 10, consistency will lead to variety. Okay, so if we are in a deal and it's harming our ability to do the other things we need to do consistently, we are damaging our ability to keep that variety in our pipeline, in our sales funnel, okay? And running that risk is more dangerous than losing a deal. So we want to evaluate if this is throwing our consistency of our principles, the core things that we know we need to do every day, without question, if it is throwing the balance of that off to a degree that we feel that we may drop off on one of our other principles, one of our other selling activities. Maybe it's going to harm our ability to execute on another deal. Maybe it's going to harm our ability to go out and prospect for new business. Maybe it's going to harm our ability to give the attention that we need to developing proposals and presentations for some of our other opportunities. Then we want to either abandon that deal or, once again, recalibrate it so that it makes sense for us. Okay, so here's the 10 essential sales principles. There's an example of how we can filter our deals through them to understand the health of the deal. Listen, no one answer is correct. You need to look at this as a deal in its totality against the principles. But if we're living by the principles and we're acting according to these 10 essential sales principles on a daily basis, okay, it becomes easy for us to compare and contrast our individual deals against these activities and our ability to execute on them. And if we do that consistently, we make some hard choices along the way, we will see more consistent health in our pipeline and more consistency in health in the deals that we close. And all of that will equal more financial success as a salesperson. Thank you. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'll see you next time.